Emma, Norman, and Ray are three orphan children who live in Gracefield House. They were cared for by Isabella, a woman they called Mom. The three children were the most gifted in the group. Norman and Ray are brilliant. Norman's a master strategist, and Emma has extraordinary physical abilities. But when the children turn 11, they begin to realize the secrets of the orphanage. Every day the children played tag, although they all played against Norman for being the most intelligent and skilled in the game. While looking for Norman, Emma finds him looking at the fence. Isabella wouldn't let them cross it since, according to her, it was too dangerous for them. One of the kids was adopted and had to leave. She said goodbye, and Isabella led her to the door to be delivered. Emma realized her friend left her teddy bear and takes it with her. Emma and Norman go to the gate looking for Isabella, although they only find their friend's corpse. They hide under a truck and discover that the orphanage is a human farm for monsters outside. Knowing the truth, the kids decide to escape from the place. Meanwhile, Isabella suspects when she finds the teddy bear. The next day, both children try to act normal as to not arouse suspicion. When they're alone, they try to plan their escape, and although Norman says that it would be safer for just the three to escape, Emma insists that she wants to take all of them. Norman must develop an almost perfect strategy, since nearly all the children are under 6 years old. And there are even babies. However, Norman doesn't want to give up and decides to make a plan to free everyone. Since Emma and Norman didn't want to scare anyone, Ray was unaware of what had happened and had suspicion about his two friends. As the day goes by, Norman and Emma discover that Isabella can easily find them with locators installed on their bodies. They get worried Isabella will locate them and intend to find and destroy them. They investigate the escape area during the break by jumping over the fence. They find a very high wall to climb, and Norman thinks of a way to cross it. While they're both there, Ray asks them what they're planning. Norman tells him the plan, and although at first he thinks it's crazy and impossible, Ray agrees with it and decides to help them. Seeing the situation with the kids gets complicated, Isabella tells her superiors to send an assistant, Crohne. Isabella commissions her to watch the children while she discovers who has found out about the orphanage's secret. Seeing that getting so many people out is complicated, Ray gives the idea of dividing the group into small teams led by them. The boys decide to tell two other children, Gilda and Dawn, about the escape so they can help them by leading the teams. Ray reminds them that they must find where the implanted locator is and destroy it. Emma checks on Carol, a new orphan baby, and finds the locator behind the ear. To escape easier, the boys train the others in a game of tag. During the game, they test the teams, and Ray advises them to perform better. After the training, Norman realizes Isabella's suspicion and thinks she has an informant. As Norman sets out to find the traitor, Emma and Ray continue training the kids for the escape. Norman doubts Gilda and Dawn and strategizes to confirm his suspicion. After a few days of investigating, Norman and the others decide to tell Gilda and Dawn about what happened the day at the gate and how they'll escape. Although Dawn doesn't believe it at first, he later accepts the truth, and Gilda quickly agrees and offers to help. Norman tells each of them a different location of where he hid the rope that they were going to use to escape. If Isabella or Crohne found it, they'd know who the traitor was. A note arrives at Isabella's office saying that the rope's under Norman's bed, the location Norman gave Dawn. At night, Emma listens as Gilda leaves the room. Meanwhile, Gilda enters Crohne's room but doesn't tell her anything about Emma and the others, proving her innocence. The next day, Ray and Norman check the locations to realize that the rope isn't under Norman's bed, leaving Dawn as the traitor. However, Norman tells Ray that he's the real traitor. Although Ray evades the accusation at first, he has no choice but to tell Norman the truth. Ray accepts that he's a traitor and explains he does it so that neither Emma nor Norman dies. Ray also claims to work as a double agent to prepare for their escape. Ray tells Norman not to help unless he gives up his idea of saving every kid, as that would be impossible. Emma and Gilda had been investigating Isabella's movements during certain day hours. Later, the three met to track the escape plan. Ray confesses to Emma that he was the traitor and explains why he did it. Emma gets quite mad with him before she decides to trust him. They realize that Isabella disappeared from the orphanage at a specific time. The girls conclude that there's a hidden room where she communicates with monsters. They tell Ray, Norman, and Dawn, who decide to investigate if it's true. With Gilda's help, they go to Isabella's room and find a secret door. The door is locked, so Dawn stealthily takes Isabella's keys to find out what's behind the secret door. Meanwhile, the kids discuss the plan in the library and realize they must explore outside when they manage to escape. Emma remembers some owl logos in the books that brought messages in Morse code, giving details about the people outside. Emma gives the idea of looking for whoever left these clues. Gilda and Dawn discover what's inside Isabella's secret room and get out before being discovered. At night, the kids meet again, and Dawn becomes distraught because they didn't tell him what happened with the kids that left. While the group is talking, everyone feels that someone is spying on them. The next day, Crohne catches the kids talking about the escape plan at one of their training sessions and tells them that she won't rat them out. Crohne offers to cooperate with them if they help her eliminate Isabella. She wants to become the new mom of the orphanage, or else she'll give them away. The boys accept and ally with her. Crohne tells them to go to her room at night so she can tell them what they need to know to run away. Once night falls, Norman and Emma go to Crohne's room to ask her questions about the outside. Having all the necessary information, they leave the room. But before leaving, Crohne tells them to be more careful with what they do because a mistake will be their doom. Norman asks Ray if he found a way to destroy the locators, and Ray tells him that the device is missing one piece. Knowing that the boys could destroy the locators, Crohne looks for the device in Ray's bed. Although she doesn't find what she's looking for, she gets a note from Ray that could hurt Isabella. Crohne goes to her room excited and thinks about telling her leader about the messages to destroy Isabella. However, at that moment, Isabella knocks on her door and brings a letter to Crohne from their superiors. The letter said she'd be the mother of another orphanage and had to leave the same day. This worries Crohne as it was just a prelude to her death. Crohne leaves a box for Ray on the night table and talks to Grandma, one of her superiors. Crohne shows her the letter Ray left him and what's happening with the children on the farm. However, she doesn't pay much attention to it since she fully trusts Isabella and orders Crohne's death. Meanwhile, the boys plan the exploration phase as the day of the escape approaches. They need Ray to distract Isabella so Norman and Emma can check the outside. They put the plan into action, and Emma goes with Norman to the wall while Ray tries to distract Isabella, but she locks him in a room after discovering he's betraying her. Isabella goes to find Emma and Norman. Gilda and Dawn notice and go upstairs to rescue Ray. Once Emma and Norman reach the wall, they see Isabella approaching. Emma tries to distract her so Norman can look outside, but Isabella breaks Emma's leg, rendering her immobile. Norman, Ray, Gilda, and Dawn arrive to save Emma, and Isabella tells Norman that the next delivery will be his. The boys are frustrated, especially Ray, who's upset about what happened with Emma. Emma is in the infirmary talking to Norman about what they would do, and he tells her there's nothing to do anymore. Still, he'll give her a plan so they can escape without him. Emma refused, but this didn't stop Norman. Ray also opposes Norman's plan. And with Emma, they try to convince him to make a false escape and hide on his adoption day. Norman disagrees, but after further discussion, he agrees to Emma and Ray's plan. When everything's ready, Norman jumps over the wall and explores while everyone plays. However, instead of hiding, he returns to the orphanage. Ray and Emma ask him why he didn't follow the plan, and he tells them that there was a cliff that separated the woods from the orphanage. Norman tells them that by checking the surroundings, he found a bridge connecting the orphanage to the forest, which is the only way to escape. The next night, Norman says goodbye to all his friends except Ray, who doesn't want to say goodbye to Norman. Before leaving, Emma tries to deactivate Norman's locator, but he doesn't let her and walks away, telling her to take care of them and not give up. Isabella goes with Norman to the gate to deliver him, but he enters a mysterious room and gets lost there. The next day, Emma and Ray are so depressed that they both think about giving up and not running away, although Emma still has a slight hope of escaping. Both are shown without any encouragement at all. They didn't even have contact for 2 months, so Isabella wouldn't suspect anything. Ray's birthday arrives, and Emma meets Ray in the dining room to execute her plan. The plan was to set the orphanage on fire so the children could be evacuated from the place and have time to escape. A piercing scream is heard from the dining room, and Isabella goes to check. She runs into Emma, who's on the floor crying for Ray. Isabella checks the locator to see if Ray's alive and realizes he's still on fire. While trying to put out the flames, Ray tells Emma to go outside and help the others. When Isabella turns around, Emma's gone. Isabella tries to locate Emma, but only finds her mutilated ear in the house. Emma saves Ray from burning to death and explains the plan Norman left behind before he left, so Ray also cut off his ear and escaped with the others towards the wall. Isabella goes out looking for the other children. Only the youngest one stayed, including Phil, who knew the plan and stayed to distract Isabella. Isabella puts the guards on standby so the children cannot escape. The alert alarm sounds when they go up the wall, and the guards are waiting for them to go down the bridge. Thanks to the different training session, everyone was prepared for this day. Norman devises a way to escape over the cliff using ropes as a zip line to get to the other end. The boys make it and go through it one by one until Emma remains. At that moment, Isabella arrives, remembering when she tried to escape, but never succeeded and gave up. Isabella remembers how she became one of the mothers and became a caretaker for the kids in the demon farms. Emma says goodbye to her and escapes. Isabella sees all the boys on the other end, while they get into the woods and promise to return for the others. And that was the Promised Neverland Season 1 recap. If you enjoyed this recap, remember to hit that sub, click the like button, and comment down below to let me know what you think of the series. I'll see you on the next video.